Broadcasting from the Meredith Hall Studios out of Carson City, Nevada, you're listening to Covering the Field with Big Richard Martin, Gator Gates, and Joe the Answer Ellison.
Welcome to Covering the Field. I'm Joe Ellison, and with me today are the amazing Big Richard Martin and Gator Gates. And later, we'll have a special guest, Keno Mike Charlo. Guys, let's start as always this time of year with what was another great week of football. Big Rich, what happened during Week 5 in the National Football League?
Well, the New York Jets and the New York Giants seem to be for real. I mean, last year they were the doormats of the league. This year, they're, I think, a legitimate football team. I think that no one can argue that those teams are legitimate. And the NFC East is for real. What about the Cowboys, Phillies, and the Giants are all, 3-1. No one picked that. Everybody was talking about the NFC West being the best, including me, and the AFC West, and it seems like we had it wrong.
Yes. The old NFC least, they're the NFC beast now.
Okay.
You can steal that from me.
I will.
And,
talking to our producer, we're going to trademark that, or can we hit that on there?
It's probably been used already.
Okay.
And I just didn't hear it. But, right, the Giants won in London, beating Green Bay. Held the Green Bay to only 2 points in the second half, and that was a safety at the very end of the game that they just gave them.
Yeah, they ran out of the end zone, so I wouldn't consider that a score for...
Not really.
I think it was just great defense by the Giants, and that was the smart play. And just talking about smart coaching, that was one smart coaching moves. What's up with Andy Reid on the Monday night game? Going for 2 when you're up by 7, you go up by 8 and you're guaranteed a tie, plus you're going to give the ball to Patrick Mahomes if they do get the touchdown and the extra point. I was laying the 7. I was losing my mind. Why would you go for 2 when you could kick the extra point and we could cover the spread? But no, I don't know. Poor coaching. Then Josh McDowell says, I could do one stupider than you.
Josh McDowell went for 2 down by 1
right,
to tie the game with 4 minutes left.
Yeah, the analytics is saying to go for it, but you have a chance to tie that game in Arrowhead. I know they say the analytics on the road, go for the win, but that's just too much to risk at that point. I would say you get the score even, and then you play it out, and they actually would have had a chance to win.
Yeah, I don't understand this analytics stuff. I'm totally all about math and tying the score and forcing teams to go for 2 by kicking an extra point.
But you guys, Vegas hasn't. They don't know how to win. I mean, besides the year that they went to the Super Bowl, how many times have they had 4-quarter leads and then blown it?
Yeah, it's
all
2
the
17-point leagues. 2 17-point leagues. They were leading by 17 against
Exactly.
Arizona. And all 4 of their losses have been by 6 points or less.
Now, I consider that the same as Detroit. Detroit does not know how to win. They're always close, right? They're always losing by...
Except for this week.
Right, exactly. I'm talking about overall.
Overall.
They're the same. They don't know how to win.
Again, back to my favorite division. Dallas won at the Rams, and
just as we predicted,
Philadelphia won at
we said
Arizona.
It would go under, and the only reason it was even close to being under is because it was a block kick for 3 points, and it was a strip sack on Matthew Stafford, which gave another 6 points to the Rams. So actually, it was only 2 big plays, and that was well under the 42 like we predicted.
Right. Philly won at Arizona. Arizona has been shoveling in and out these kickers, and the kicker they got now, not very good, and missed that tying field goal. Otherwise, Philly, might have been looking at overtime and possibly their first loss.
Did you see that where the offensive lineman came to the kickers? They were all dogging them. All the press was dogging him about missing it, and he came up there as a good offensive line. I think his name's Pugh. Came over there and said, it wasn't one man, doesn't make or break one team. He missed the shot, but we all make mistakes throughout the game. So I thought that was good camaraderie, and maybe Arizona can bounce back from that kind of leadership.
That'd be great. The last time 3 teams have been 4 or 1 or better from the same division, how far back do you think you would have to go? Wild guess.
Wild guess. I would have to go to probably maybe the early 2000s, maybe, with the Jets.
Close enough.
The NFC East. I would say AFC East.
2008.
Okay.
So, not too long ago, but certainly 14 years ago. That's
long enough.
Long enough, exactly.
Sure.
Getting back to this roughing the passer thing, well, what's the difference between what happened to Tua in Miami and what happened to Tom Brady and Derek Carr?
Well, what happened since Tua's on my fantasy team, that's what happened. I mean, Tua's on my fantasy quarterback, and then I go get Bridgewater. They throw him down like a rag doll. That's not roughing the passer. And then we get a strip sack trying to, stop himself from falling with his left hand. I mean, it's crazy. How much money do you think that is being bet? You guys give me roughly what do you guys think is weekly being bet on NFL football?
Well, I don't know exactly, but it's got to be in the billions, right?
Yeah.
I would say it's at least $5 billion, right? So okay. I mean, they spend they say $20 million a year, $20 billion a year gambled. So we divide that by the playoffs, probably roughly around $4 or $5 billion, probably a week being bet. And you know who's controlling these games? The referees. It's crazy. The referee, when they want to throw that flag, they can totally change the outcome of the game. I mean, there has to be somebody's got to watch the stripes. And I love having instant replay, especially on pass interference and roughing the passer. They seem like they can't get it right. They seem like we finally figured out what a catch was. We figured out what a catch was. I mean, it took 5 years to figure out what a catch is. And now we need to figure out roughing the passer. It's definitely out of control. Tom Brady threw a karate kick chop on after he got sacked. He's the one that should have got the penalty. He's the one that threw a kick at the guy that sacked, and just totally gave Atlanta a non-competitive chance to win that game.
Yeah, well, officiating is the worst part of the game, and no doubt about that. And these referees, I mean, they just show up once a week. These are guys who are like, doctors and lawyers and stuff, and then they show up before the game, maybe the day before, and have a meeting and talk about what to expect and what to do.
Well, especially like when holding's completely away from the play. If it doesn't have an outcome on the play, I mean, if the guy hit him, held him a little bit, it's not as relevant to the play. So I don't agree with that. Put your flag in your pocket. Stop blowing the whistles, and let's play some football. And let the quarterbacks be sacked. We all know what it costs to play football. Anybody played football, you know that, it's a contact sport. And so I know that the reason they're doing it is to protect for legal reasons that they were being sued for the concussion protocol, but you have to let us tackle the quarterback or we shouldn't even be playing football.
Well, they got to keep all these starting quarterbacks on the field because nobody wants to see a bunch of backup quarterbacks playing every week.
Well,
the star players have to be on the field.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Correct.
All right, Joe.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
I don't
but
agree.
You're right, Joe.
I hate the
too much money in there.
But anyway, of course, the week started with that great Indy-Denver game. That was a real thriller. That could have been the worst game of the year.
I know. I mean, I thought I was watching the Iowa Hawkeyes play football. Nobody scoring touchdowns. It looks like another Denver blunker on national TV. And what do? They get the Monday night game this week. I don't buy that it's Russell Wilson's shoulder. I don't know. You guys agree? I don't think it's his shoulder. It looks confident.
Like he is injured. I don't think he's throwing at 100%. He's throwing the ball a little behind him. He's not quite got the same zip
but
on
I know what Richard's saying. I think it's his confidence too. There was like high expectations too, man.
He does great from 20 to 20, and all of a sudden his arm hurts when he gets inside the 20. That's what I'm.
But it was costly to Denver. They had 3 defensive injuries after that game.
Absolutely, and we'll talk about the injury reports here coming up in a little bit.
In the end of that Raider game, how about Devontae Adams just shoving that photographer?
I know, and he also got a misdemeanor assault charge for that. So he's been charged, and I think that as a credentialed player. But if you look at him, I think you thought it might have been a fan running on the field. I mean, he definitely caught him off guard. He gave him a little push. Come on, if you're an NFL ball boy, you got to be able to take that. Just get a signed football or a signed helmet from him. And you can roll on, for God's sakes. He's not a quarterback. You don't have to protect him.
Fair enough. We'll see what the courts say about that.
I know. Oh yeah, if that's an assault, I don't know what is. I mean, goodness.
But it certainly was caught on television, so
right.
There's no he said she said on this one.
Yeah.
So
he said you go to the ground, and he did. So that's what happened.
And of course, the Chargers, Staley going for 4th down.
I know.
Head coach
on his own 40, put him in field goal range.
You're up by 2.
We're gonna have to give you this our new thing.
Confidence.
I'm pausing. What are you thinking, Coach?
What the were you thinking? Stop!
You're on your 40. Punt the ball and play defense.
Yeah, that was crazy. Just punt the ball, pin him on the own 10-yard line.
Exactly. Instead of put him on, you're banking that the Cleveland can't kick a field goal at the end of the game, which they haven't in the last 3 years. So I guess that's a pretty good odds that Cleveland's going to kick it wide right.
Analytics.
Missed it again.
That's analytics. Every time Cleveland has a game on it, they're going to miss the field goal. That's usually it.
Speaking of what you were thinking, anybody who took Detroit, maybe? San Francisco?
Joe, I don't know what I was thinking.
New England against Detroit?
One of my picks. My picks were 3-3. Yours were 3-0. So I'll let you get on your.
We'll get to all that.
I know you have a dislocated shoulder by patting yourself on the back. I'm going to have to say that's a great pick. So that's what
Detroit was the highest scoring team in the league coming into last week.
You know what I'm thinking? What was I thinking is I've forgot about 2019 Super Bowl 53. Belichick owns golf. He got him fired as he went to the Super Bowl, shipped him out, gave up 5 draft picks for Matthew Stafford. And what do? I drink the Kool-Aid because he's up on top. He has the highest scoring offense. I think that he has been redeemed. But you know what? Jared Goff is Jared Goff. If Belichick's on the other side, he's got him figured out.
Without a doubt. And speaking of getting fired, we had our first coach fired already. Matt Rule for Carolina. Steve Wilkes is now the head coach. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm thinking to the owner of the Carolina Panthers, what were you thinking?
What the were you thinking? Stop!
You gave the guy a 7-year contract, and after the third year, he's 4 games into the third year, you don't give the guy a quarterback. It's not the coach's fault. I mean, you got to give him a competitive quarterback.
They should have gotten Jimmy G when they had the chance.
Okay, yeah, there you go. That's what you should have been thinking about Jimmy G. Like the San Francisco 49ers did. Great job there. That's the greatest insurance policy there is, having Jimmy G on your roster.
Yeah, and Jimmy G, I guess, triggered the firing because he was the quarterback at the very last week.
Well, as a pro, his record was 11-27. So you got to say you got to go in a different direction. But you have to give him a decent quarterback.
If you just look up in the stands, you got to go in a different direction. Right. There were as many red jerseys out there as there were home jerseys for the fans. That's embarrassing.
And also in L.A., there was just as many Dallas fans there at the SoFi Stadium. I mean, they definitely traveled well. It was a 50-50 home field advantage.
Well, they have their training camp in Oxnard, so
they are California-based basically.
Well, I think that as far as Dallas goes, you got to give a little credit for Mike McCarthy for not doing anything.
Well, sticking with Cooper Rush, huh?
Right. So who would you say week 5? Who's the MVP? Who's your MVP this year?
MVP
through week 5. Who would you say?
Oh, you don't mean head coach? MVP?
I don't mean MVP.
Well, there's a team that's undefeated in Philadelphia, so
you're going to go Jalen Hurts?
I'm going to go Jalen Hurts just because they're undefeated.
It's hard to argue that.
What about your great defensive player, Micah Parsons? That's my MVP.
When's the last time a defensive player?
I'll give you guys sink or swim. There's only been one defensive player MVP in the NFL.
Well, then there had to be Lawrence Taylor.
So you're swimming only one?
That wasn't Miller, huh?
Oh, could there have been more than one?
Right. Could there have been more than one? Sink or swim?
I'm going to say... I'm going to say...
I'm going to say sink.
I'm going to sink. I'm going to say only Lawrence Taylor.
Sink.
Only Lawrence Taylor. 1971, Alan Page won MVP for the Minnesota Vikings, the Purple People Eaters. So he did get the MVP in 71. So there's been 2, but not very often. And I think right now that guy definitely controls the ball.
That was a good one.
They could definitely control the defensive side of the ball. And like you said, McCarthy's just running the football. I think they got a good plan in place. When they bring Dak back, he's still questionable. He can grip the ball now, but he's not spinning it well enough. They don't think he's doing enough tight.
They should let him rest. Why do you want to do that?
Because you're playing the Eagles.
It don't matter.
What if you win 6 or 7 in a row, and here's Dak? Do you bench Cooper Rush at that point?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dak is definitely the starting quarterback. There's no comparison.
No doubt about that. But you don't take your starting goalie when he's hot out.
Yeah. Think of Tom Brady when Drew Bledsoe got hurt. Did they pull Bledsoe Brady out and put Bledsoe back in? And they just went on this 12-game winning streak.
Okay, so you're comparing Cooper Rush to Tom Brady. Is that what you're saying?
Boston in the Boston Bruins in the Stanley Cup playoffs. With changing goalies when you had a hot goalie.
Yeah. Well, they don't ask Cooper Rush to do a lot. They didn't ask Tom Brady to do a whole lot.
He throws a great football, and he hits, CeeDee Lamb. He makes the passes when he needs to. He controls the game. He does great, and hopefully Dak is going to take that coming back into when he comes back in that type of philosophy of run the football, play good defense, and that's a good.
Let him heal.
That's a good result for winning football.
Okay. And one final note. Before we get to the predictions, Houston got their first win of the year. Hooray!
Yay!
Another one against my Big Rich's pick. Sorry about that, fellas.
I don't know, was Houston playing so good or Jacksonville no touchdowns, Joe?
Yeah.
Big Richard, 422 total yards and 2 field goals for Jackson.
I should have known better.
He did throw. He threw on the 10-yard line. He threw a pick in the end zone. So I mean, they were definitely moving the ball, but
422 yards though.
they can't punch it in. You got to punch the ball in. That's the name of the game.
Jacksonville gave it to Houston. Is my point.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good point that we told you that Houston's usually around at least on the point
Yes,
spread.
they
So
are.
that's something to think
They
about.
usually
in the
are.
future.
And Jacksonville, a 7-point favorite. Should have been a red flag on that one. I
No.
guess.
Yeah.
Another. What was I thinking?
What was
Yeah,
I
another red flag. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, here we
I'm
go.
going to go over the injury report, Joe. You
Yeah.
ready for that? Okay, this week's injury report, Rashad Penny, fractured fibula. He is out for the year. Tua Tagovailoa and Teddy Bridgewater have their own concussion protocol room. They have their own little concussion protocol, club that they're in for each other. They give each other support, Anyway, Teddy Bridgewater got...
No massages, though.
No massages. That's on the back that Deshaun Watson is now back and allowed to go back.
Speaking of.
Yeah, he's back to go to Cleveland, even back to the practice area and get his massages that is approved by the Browns. And Tyreek Hill has a quad injury. We have to keep an eye on that because the Cheetah has a bad leg. Emmanuel Mosley, ACL, their starting quarterback, having a great year. He's out for the year with an ACL. We also have Nick Bosa with a hamstring injury. And their safety Ward is out with a broken hand. They're trying to club him up. I think they're going to put a cast on him.
So those last three were all 49er players.
All 49 players. And then Baker Mayfield's out for 2 to 3 weeks with an ankle. So P.J. Walker will be taking over.
Oh, was that XFL or USFL, that P.J. Walker? Well, either way, he was like
He was
the
good
star
last
quarterback.
year. He came in last year and played well when they had
Really
problems
well.
with Sam Darnold. So we're looking to see what he can do this week against the Rams. And then Williams is out with a broken wrist. He has 3 interceptions for Baltimore Ravens. He's out for 6 to 8 weeks. And Damian Harris, the running back, is out for the New England Patriots.
All right. One good story, somebody coming back. Brian Robinson returned, running back for the, I was going to say Redskins, the ex-Redskins.
Yeah,
And
Commanders.
he got shot. This isn't a football injury.
Yeah.
But, I didn't see exactly what happened on that story.
Well, he did. He was getting gas, and somebody tried to rob him. And this dude's an NFL stud or a college collegiate stud at Alabama. You don't rob, So he ended up getting the wrong end of that, but then he did get shot, and he's actually back. And I think it's somebody that we might want to keep up for our fantasy owners. Keep him stashed because he was slated to be the number 1 over Gibson before he got shot.
Well, looking at last week's games, point spread wise, the season-long trends seem to continue. Last week, 11 underdogs and 5 favorites covered the spread. 5 dogs won straight up. 7 road teams won,
It was a dog weekend.
without a doubt.
Okay.
9 games were decided in the last 3 minutes. So through week 5, 49 underdogs, 31 favorites. 35 road teams have won straight up. 28 games have been decided by 3 points or less, which is a record. And 76% of games have been within 1 score in the fourth quarter. So
Right.
the trends, obviously underdogs.
Underdogs.
No doubt about that. And expect a close game, which is what the NFL wants.
Right. Make it exciting down the stretch. And hopefully the referees keep that yellow flag in your pocket. Let them play.
As far as the totals are concerned, last week slowed that rush of unders this season. 8 games went under, 8 games went over. Still, over the course of the season, 47 games have gone under, 32 have gone over in one push.
Is that a butcher? Is that a butcher?
These are all Butcher. We have to thank again Butch the Butcher for all the statistics. He's keeping
on
track
it,
of
man.
all
He's
that.
on it. Not missing nothing out there. Thanks, Butcher. Keep cutting it up, buddy.
Obviously. So, Big Rich, yes, you did go 3-3. We've already talked about what you were thinking when you made those picks. Unless you want to add something to that.
Well, I'm adding. Let's go on. The best thing about football is let's go on to next week. All right, let's go.
Amen
Let's
to
go on
that.
to next week.
Amen to
There's always
that.
next week.
What did Belichick say? We're moving on.
We're moving on. Yeah, we're
Cincinnati.
on to Cincinnati.
On to Cincinnati.
All right. Well, I'm going to start by going against the what you're just talking about. Don't giving up the points because I think Carolina, even though they have P.J. Walker started last year, I think they got their coach fired. They have injuries. They just come off a loss. They're going to SoFi. I'm going to drop the 10.5. I think the Rams have to get things going. It's a must-win. They have to get it going. I see a two touchdown lead for those guys. If they can just play 4 quarters, don't give up the lead. Don't give up the PI late. And I think I'm going to take the Rams.
They have to get Akers moving. If you don't get Akers moving,
Yeah, they're having a hard time running the ball.
Yeah,
And their line is banged up. Their line is they're playing third string linemen across the board. So that could be an issue, but I'm still going to drop the 10.5. Arizona, I'm going to drop 3. They're going into Seattle. I think that Kyler Murray should have had that game tied at least. It was a great win against they had a chance to win the game against Philadelphia last week. I like what I'm seeing in Arizona. I think they're going to have an upswing. It's tough playing in Seattle with the 12th man, but I do like Arizona, and they have to win this game to keep up. So I think they're going to make a key game out of that. I like the Cardinals.
Okay, well, the Butchers got a good stat on that. Arizona 6-1 against the spread in Seattle their last 7 games. So,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that could very well happen.
There, right? Yeah, they don't mind playing there, so it's good. I'm going to drop the 3 with the Bills. The game of the week. The Bills have their rematch game against Kansas City. Josh Allen holding that grudge on his shoulder. He has to go through this. They had this game circled on the board when they started camp in the summer. I'm telling you right now, the Bills going to come up there. That DBs for Kansas City are definitely questionable. I know it's tough going against Patrick Mahomes, but I like the Bills to cover that 3 points.
Yeah, that's easily the best game of the week, and it's going to be high scoring. It appears on paper. It should be a high scoring game.
So Bridgewater's back from Miami. I like the plus 3.5 at the Vikings. You're going to give me a home dog at home, 3.5. They dropped 2 in a row. I think Waddle will have a big game. They're starting to run the bar with Mozart. I'm thinking that's going to be a good trend. I think it was just, Skylar Thompson just was over his head. I mean, when he had to come into that game, going into New York, the Jets looked good. But I'm telling you right now, that Skylar Thompson was a little bit over his head. He was off a little bit on his passing. Getting the ball to Waddle at all. It seems like all you had to do is guard Tyreek Hill because that's what he threw it to every time. He probably had like 17 targets.
Hard to play well when you haven't practiced all week.
Right.
And they're expecting you to come in, just be like the regular guy.
Right. And they smash him to the ground, and that's not passing. That's not roughing the passer, but, it's just we don't have to go into that.
No.
Let's get off. All right. Here we go. All right. I'm moving on. I'm liking the Jets. I think the Jets prove that they're for real. They're a tough team. I think the running back out there, Brees Hall, from Iowa State. I think he's running the ball. He had 190 total yards of offense last week. I like them to go into Green Bay. I know that they're having all kinds of problems. If the Giants can figure out the Aaron Rodgers, then I'm sure the Jets are going to be right behind there. I'd like them with the 7 points. They might not win, but I think they play that game close.
Without a doubt.
And then I like the 49ers. On the under over, that was my 5 big rich picks. Here's my under over. On the over, 49ers Atlanta, 44.5. The defense is banged up for the 49ers, and Atlanta seems to play close no matter what. And they went over last week with Tampa Bay, so I see they won't have any problems with the banged up without Nick Bosa. I like that going over. I'll take Mariota and some points over 44.5.
All right. Gator, did you have a pick you want to add to that, or should I get into mine?
I'm thinking that New Orleans is going to be an underdog, aren't they? And they're at home.
Yes, they're a point and a half.
They're 1.5 underdog.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm thinking New Orleans, the way they played last week, I think I like them.
Ooh, the Bengals. If they lose that game, they're going to be 2-4. Mm-hmm. Ouch. From going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
but I haven't seen anything. They're not using Mixon like they did last year.
Right.
Burrow's only got that scored that touchdown with a couple minutes left. I think something. It wasn't very much time.
Right.
He acted like he won the game, and then Baltimore's got the kicker, the goat.
Oh,
so what are they thinking? I'm not really up on Cincy right now at all.
Yeah.
All right,
well,
Gator.
Mixon's getting the ball. He's just not being effective.
No.
The offensive line was supposed to be an upgrade. Definitely still a problem out there in Bingo Land.
They spent a bunch of money on that offensive line. Have not seen the improvements yet.
But the game I'm really looking forward to is Dallas and Philly. That's the game. I know everybody's saying that Buffalo and Kansas, but that to me, it's Philly. I'm really looking forward to that game.
Because I know that they can rush 4 and get pressure on Jalen Hurts, and they could drop 7 back. So I think that they're up.
And they hate
top
each
4.
other. I like those games where they hate each other.
Well, we'll see about who's the beast of the East after this week.
Exactly.
All right. Well, yes, I did go 3-0 last week.
Mm-hmm.
I have to brag, of course. That's let's see, 9-2 over the last 3 weeks.
No way, dude.
Is that possible?
No way. Not this year.
Listen, dude.
Not this year.
I had the under in the Denver Indy game. Boy, that never had a chance. The under in the Dallas game never had a chance. And Tennessee came through winning at Washington. Why Tennessee was favored by
2.5.
Yeah, whatever it was.
Well, Carson Wentz had a chance to win that game, and he threw
Yep, well,
that pick.
they were winning late.
Yep.
So 9-2 or less. That's 81%.
Nah, that's excellent. Too.
Yeah, that's over the Gator line, man. I'm telling you, that's a Gator 70.
But,
we'll have to look at Gator's hockey picks this week. I don't know if you're that good.
This is the NFL.
This
so
is the NFL.
It might be due for a bad week, but I'm going to enjoy it while I can.
It is that good in my eyes.
But, I'm going to go against you on this Carolina game. I don't care who the hell the Rams are playing. Why are they favored by double digits? They look terrible.
They do.
So I'm against you on that one. I'm going to take Carolina plus the 10.5. I don't care if it's P.J. Walker. I'm going with that.
A lot of points.
The Jets.
A lot of points with the banged up line.
Sure is.
Jets, I'm totally in agreement with you on that. I like the 7 points. I mean, I'm going by, I'm writing down these stats, and I'm looking at what the butcher's telling me. He's telling me to take the underdog. So I'm going all underdogs on the show this week.
It'll be a dog weekend one week. The next week, the favorites will win, Joe.
Do you think
eventually there'll be a week like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Green Bay's a little too cocky, too. If you watch that post-game reports, they're all saying, well, we get the Jets next week, so we should be favored.
Well,
I don't like that.
Well, they're favored by
bulletin,
7. That's
bulletin board material right there.
Yes.
What does the coach say? I'm keeping receipts?
Yes.
I'm keeping receipts.
You're
I love it.
exactly
Yeah,
right.
he's a great coach.
The Jets have won 2 consecutive road games.
Yeah,
for the first time in
exactly.
I don't know how many years. I had the stat last week. So, they've gotten over that. Sala, the coach from 49ers, he's actually a pretty good coach.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
he's the defensive coach for the 49ers, exactly.
And no respect for the NFC Beasts. I'm getting Dallas plus 5 at Philly. I got to try that. I think it's going to be a close game right down to the wire.
I think so, too.
And the Giants plus 5.5 at home against Baltimore. I mean, no respect for the Giants. What's so great about Baltimore? That they're going to come out there and just smoke them. They have a horrible pass defense.
Yes.
And
Field goal you to do.
So they had an injury to their safety, so they're definitely going to be hurting again in the DBs.
Okay,
So
so those 4 are my picks.
okay.
Yeah,
And thanks again to the Butcher. Let's move on to the college ranks now. What were the big stories from last week's games in college?
Well, Alabama squeaks by Texas A&M. They didn't have their starting quarterback Bryce Young, and it definitely affected their offense. But the one thing I'm concerned about is giving up that late drive in the defense. They had a chance to win that game. Texas A&M had a chance to win that game. That's why Alabama has dropped to number 3 this week. So the number 1, 2, and 3 seems to bounce back and forth. One thing you can count on Ohio State covering the spread, right? I mean, that was my picks were 4, 2, and 1. Ohio State rolls past Michigan State. We told you that those DBs were horrible. C.J. Stroud threw 7 touchdowns, 6 to Ohio State, and 1 to Michigan State, threw 1 pick 6. So he had 7 touchdowns, but 6 were to his guys. But, they definitely covered that spread. It was great. Georgia rolls past Auburn, 42-10. They seem to, now they're back into the number 1 seed. Seems like Alabama goes from 1 to 3. Those guys going back, and Ohio State's just steady at 2. They're just rolling up with the points. Clemson had an impressive win against Boston College, 31-3. They look like a solid number 5 team, 4 or 5 team in the nation. Tennessee goes to the Bayou Bengals and smashes LSU. Unbelievable. Like we were talking about
Hendon Hooker.
Hendon Hooker. I mean, not Hooker, but Hendon Hooker. He looks great. Tennessee looks for real. They're 5. They're definitely they're 5-0. They look great.
Their one issue: Georgia and Alabama are in their conference, and only 2 of those teams can possibly make the Final Four.
Right. So that's a big game coming up. Way to foreshadow that, Joe. And also we have Michigan. They didn't cover. They were 31-10. The spread was 23.5, but against Indiana, that was a good home game for Indiana. They hung in there the first half.
10-10 at one point.
Yes, exactly. And like we predicted, USC covered against Washington State, 30-14. Caleb Williams looks great. The defense is still questionable. And Houston, what about the Houston-Memphis game? That's probably the best game. You got a chance to see that game. Houston scored 26 fourth quarter points. They scored 2 touchdowns in the last 90 seconds. They got the onside kick, and they beat Memphis. That was a bad beat for those guys.
A lot of people digging through the trash on that one.
Absolutely. They thought it was over, and then all of a sudden, we got hosed.
They sure did.
Sorry that Houston they're one of those teams that are always in the game. It's an exciting game every week they play. And the game that kind of got me was Kansas loses the heartbreaker. They lost their star quarterback, Jalen Daniels, in the first half with a shoulder injury. He was running in for a touchdown to take the lead, gets hit in the shoulder, fumble, coughs it up in the end zone. That was a 7-point turnaround. That's pretty much what cost him the 7-point game. The backup
Yeah, he was good.
He was actually the starter before. So he was the starter. Got beat out by Jalen Daniels. They had Jason Bean.
Okay.
And he's actually the fastest player on the 50-yard line. You know, the coach is saying he wins the 50-yard sprint against the DBs and everybody. So he's one of the fastest players. He was the starter, so I think he's going to be okay when they have this next week. And that's going to be a foreshadow of my picks.
Okay. And one final note: UCLA beat Utah.
Just like that was the dog. We told you, watch UCLA at home, and they definitely Chip Kelly, seems to have the UCLA playing great right now.
Undefeated,
and it looks like they're they played pretty much the toughest part of their schedule until they get to USC. So they're somebody you got to watch. They're definitely going to go up there. I think they're already 9 on the rankings, so they're moving up.
Time to move on to the picks, I guess.
That's right.
4-2 and 1 last week. Well, that's 66%.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm actually 67% for the year, just below the Gator line at 70%.
Pretty good.
Trying to keep up with that 82% for the Euro NFL picks are, but it's a little bit easier to handicap I think the college games as they like to run the scores up to get better rankings. So I like Kansas plus 9 in Norman, Oklahoma. They're going to Norman, Oklahoma. The Oklahoma defense is horrible. I know that Jalen Daniels is doubtful with that shoulder injury, but Jason Bean was a starter. I think he's been able to get this team together and play at least a close game. I don't see Oklahoma beating them by double digits. I love the way Kansas fought in that game against TCU. Congratulations to TCU, by the way. That was a great win for them. Now they're moving to 6-0. Max Dungy did a great job at quarterback, and Duggan made that great pass at the end. I mean, that was a great game to watch.
Yeah, it was a really good game.
So I'm going against Michigan at home. I like Penn State with the 7 points. I think that they play great defense. I think this is going to be a good low-scoring game. I will take points either way on either one of these teams. I think it's a field goal game. I know they're playing at the Big House, but I like Penn State to come in and make this a close game.
All right. You have some more picks?
Yes, I do. Tennessee's at home against Alabama. They're getting 7.5. I love this pick. Like you said, Hendon Hooker is definitely a Heisman candidate, definitely a top 5 pick for the NFL. I love this kid. He's electric. The whole defense is electric. The offense is electric. I think it's going to be a great game. Let's go to Knoxville. Let's get this thing done. I think Alabama definitely showed chinks in the armor last week against Texas A&M. I think they play a tight game. All right. Kentucky gets plus 6.5 at home over Mississippi State. I know Rogers is a great quarterback for Mississippi State, and they like to run the points up. But Kentucky, I think they can get it done at home.
Isn't Kentucky's quarterback injured? He didn't play last week.
Okay, so that might be
the right. Might explain the spread.
Might explain the spread, but they're still playing at home. I think this will be a close game. It's an SEC game. You're playing at home. You love the home dogs with the points.
All right.
Clemson -3 at Florida State. Clemson definitely playing better football. They're a legitimate top 4 team. I think they're running their books. DJ Uiagalelei is playing great, consistent quarterback that they were expecting last year. Defense is playing good. Drop that 3.5 at Florida State. And then for another one of those sink or swim. All right. We got James Madison broke the top 25. The Sun Belt 5-0 Sun Belt team is their nickname.
I already know the name.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, is their nickname the Colonials?
No. George Washington is the Colonials.
All right, but what is their next? All right, go ahead and give it, Joe. Joe, the answer.
Dukes.
They're the Dukes. They're James Madison Dukes. I had to go like 17 minutes into Google to find that.
All you had to do was ask me.
And all I had to do was make a phone call to Joe. I mean, what was I thinking? What was I thinking?
What the were you thinking? Stop!
James Madison, they break the top 25. They put up some points.
Undefeated.
They put a lot of points up. They're going to give up 11.5 at Georgia Southern. I'm going to take the Dukes. I know they made the top 25, and that's my 5 Big Rich picks. And my under/over, Minnesota and Illinois. Over 39. Come on now. I think Minnesota's got their running back coming back this week. Yeah. So that's the first time that they have their stud running back coming back, and Illinois does have some good offense. And I think that even though that Iowa held them down last week. Couldn't believe that game was under 15, over 15. I couldn't believe it was 35 was the under over, and they scored like 15 points. 9-6, yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah, that was ugly.
I thought the Broncos were playing. Anyway.
Just about.
Anyway, that's the Big Rich 5 picks and my 1 under over.
Wow. Well, that was pretty good. I pushed on my 1 pick last week with Kansas, the 7-point spread, lost by 7. But you pretty much said everything I was going to say, because I'm taking Tennessee plus 7.5. I think it was 9. You said whatever number you're getting. Bryce Young is still out. He's going to be out.
Well, he's questionable.
Oh, okay.
He's still questionable.
Well, that's the key to the game for me. If Bryce Young is out, I'm loving this 7.5.
Right.
And
definitely doesn't look like the same offense. And definitely the thing is, I'm talking about, I'm worried about Alabama's defense. I know I picked them at the beginning of the year to win it all. I think this is going to be a close game. I think this is going to be a good SEC fight.
Yeah, and I agree with you on Kansas too. I know betting against your favorite team, you don't do that.
You
no
just
problem
bet
with my
against
favorite team. But are you kidding me?
They're running you out of Norman right now. They're running you out of Norman, Oklahoma. Can't believe it. Well,
How
after
the hell
that,
can it be a 7-point underdog?
well, and they just get demolished. I know that Gilbert, the quarterback, he's questionable coming back. I mean, that's the only chance that I think they can even win the game, not less cover that 9-point spread. They just look horrible against Texas, and I think Kansas is proving that they're a legitimate team.
Well, without a doubt. We must now move on to baseball. What's happened so far in the playoffs?
Well, 3 out of the 4 of the road teams win. I mean, we talked about that last week about the home field advantage. You get to play all 3 games at home. I mean, you got to win 2 out of 3 at home. Shouldn't be a problem. And what does the baseball gods do? 3 out of 4 of the wild cards, the road teams advanced.
What do they say? You're only as good as your next day's starting pitcher.
That's right.
Yeah.
Basically, and that's baseball.
Right. Well, you're only as good as your closing pitcher. If you're a Cardinal fan, that's for you, Pistol
my
Pete.
God.
The colossal collapse in the 9th inning. They got up by 2 runs. Fans are on their feet. They got their big win. They got the big home run. Up by 2 runs. No way you can lose that game. What do? They drop 6 to Philly. Unbelievable in the 9th inning. 6 runs. Everybody batted around twice. I thought I was watching my kids play their Little League baseball game. They're all batting around in the order. Unbelievable breakdown. But let's tip our hats to Philly. The best. I mean, they have like 6 2-out runs, so they're having timely hittings with 2 outs. They're playing great. They are streaking at the right time. Philadelphia's streaking at the right time, and I think that they just stunned last night. They beat Fried, gave up 6 runs in 4 innings. I mean, Fried hasn't given up 6 runs in 5 games.
They just have this belief. There's aura about them that they believe.
They kind of remind me a little bit of way the Braves were last year. They're streaking at the right time.
Exactly.
And Wheeler pitches tonight in about an hour here. He was electric against St. Louis. I mean, he has a 99-mile-an-hour fastball, and he has a beautiful slider. He's keeping everybody off balance. It looked like he was just they didn't have a chance. Nolan Ryan was pitching out there, and then they have Nola going for their next game. So they snuck that game with their bullpen. They had the bullpen game. They got the win, scored enough runs to get that win 7-6.
Yeah, they were the worst team coming into the playoffs, and Atlanta appered to be better than
they just
last
swept,
year's team
the Mets.
That
Just win the division.
Just won the World Series, and now it's the other way around.
Right, so we got Wright going today, a good pitching duel. I'm definitely going to stay away from that game because I'm not betting against Philadelphia.
All these are so hard to pick. I don't blame you. No, all these are. I mean, it was heartbreaking to me that was wild card games.
The only one I did hit the Dodgers and Yankees yesterday on my parlay. They both covered the run line, so appreciate the bullpens not giving up those runs. Thanks, you fellows. Got a winning ticket there. What about the Astros coming back against Seattle? I mean, Seattle had a great. They won against the Blue Jays. No one predicted that except for Big Richard. And then, what are they? We're up by 7. They're up by 3 runs in the 8th inning, and give up. Bergman hit the 2-run homer, and then Albert hits the shot heard around the world last night.
That could be a foreshadowing to a "You Got Hosed" segment. I'll have to think about that.
I think that might be.
That might be right there.
Yeah. What were you thinking?
What were you thinking?
All right. Yeah. What were you thinking? Throwing that guy a fastball right down the middle. Anyway, one thing we do have to go into. I want to. Touch base a little bit more is the Dodgers bullpen. Blank Trennan, yeah, your former A pitcher. He is back on the roster, but they didn't use him yesterday, and they had 4 innings of relief pitcher. I thought for sure he would have been the closer. They went with Martin, and he got the job done. But they definitely hit the ball hard on that bullpen. I mean, they got a great double play ball. And yesterday it was like Kim just about hit the home run last night. Just got under a little bit, so. Thank you for holding that ball in the great Dodger Stadium. The ball doesn't travel very well, but he's returning from shoulder surgery, and they cut Craig Kimbrel from he's off the roster. So
Okay.
he's not even on the roster as a closer. So they definitely have. I think you can see they have May coming back, and then they have Gonsolin. So they put those guys on it. So I think you might be seeing some starters. They also have Henley. Some of those guys are going to have to pick up some bullpen.
Well, the way I understand it, the more humidity there is down there in LA, the more they seem to score. So
Well, they definitely hit some balls out last night. Right.
And it was a little humid.
So going through, who's your guys' pick for moving on?
Oh gosh, I picked Atlanta to beat Houston, but after watching that game last night, I'm I'm a little concerned. Now they have to win 3 out of 4.
And they got Wheeler and Nola going the next 2 games.
They're not going to be all at home now.
They're not going to be at home.
So
Philly
but I'm going to
Fanatics.
stick with that pick, although I don't like it a whole lot right now.
Okay.
And
Well, in the NL,
You taking Phillies or you taking Braves there, Gator?
well, I'm going to take Phillies.
oh, yeah.
But I think that the Dodgers are definitely going to go
Yeah.
to the World Series
Yeah,
now.
they-
I don't see anybody even come
Yeah,
close
what did they
to
say
them.
last night? They said, Poppy said, who's your daddy? The
Yeah,
Padres, who's your
yeah.
daddy? Yeah, that's
so
it.
I don't, even if I guess I'll be rooting for Philly. I mean, just the way that they're playing right now, and it'd be a
I wouldn't
great
bet against
story.
them. Wouldn't bet against them.
Exactly.
So I like the Dodgers coming over San Diego.
Yeah.
Seattle, how can they come back? Can they come back from that crushing loss last night? Can they come back? I mean, I don't know.
St. Louis fans would probably tell you no,
Right.
probably not. You can't recover from something like that.
Right? But Seattle's been coming back all year. They played a great game. They scored 7 runs. They knocked Verlander out of the game. I still think Seattle's going to come back. I think Seattle's going to split, and they're going to go and split, and it'll be a game 5. So I think that game goes 5. And then, of course, the Yankees. You can't go. I mean, the Yankees look pretty good against the Indians. yesterday.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to be on board with the Yankees.
The Yankees definitely playing good baseball at the right time.
All right. So Gator.
Go ahead.
Oh, did you want to add to that?
No, I was going to say I agree with Big Richard on that. I mean, usually everybody's thinking it's going to be Dodgers and Yankees, and I'm going against that because that's what everybody thinks. But now if you look at who's going to beat the Yankees, there isn't nobody. Who's going to beat the
Astros,
Dodgers?
Houston. We shall see.
We shall see.
Did they get past
We
Seattle?
shall see.
So hockey season, Gator.
Okay.
Began last week. Kind of early, huh? But have there been any stories so far?
Okay, well, the 2 games that were played in Prague, Arizona or Nashville beat the
San
Sharks.
Jose, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
In both games, which wasn't that hard. It was 4-1 in the first game. Keffer Sherwood scored the first goal with 1 minute 1 second into the first period, so he was the first one to score this year. That was 4-1. In the second game, San Jose scored the first goal with Luke Kunin at 14:24 into the first, but they did end up losing 3-2. But it was a much better game. They did play a lot better. So then we had 2 games Tuesday last night, Joe. The Rangers won 3-1 over Tampa Bay. Rangers had 39 shots. So Vasilevsky didn't play that bad. Just Rangers were just much better. Now this was the game last week that I was him-hawing on. Vegas won 4-3, and they scored the game-winning goal with 26 seconds left. So yeah, it was a good start, I think.
Good.
Well, I think you can you get better than 4-0? I mean, the Gator line is 70%, and he's already jumping off at a 4-0 lead.
You picked up where you left off last year. 4-0, 100%. Yeah, let's hear your picks, Gator, for this week.
Okay.
Well, before we go into this, can we talk a little bit about puck line? If some of our listeners out there might want to bet on the hockey game, especially if you have the Gators pick, you got the right team. Are you for the puck line or against the puck line?
As a bettor, I would be against it. You guys said those Gator lines at what, 70%, 75%?
Right.
Okay, so if you're gonna go puck line, you better put that Gator line at about 55%.
Well, I mean, if I take a team that's minus 300, some of the favorites are maybe 250, minus 250, I'm not going to get a lot of payback for the risk that I'm betting.
Right.
So I would probably take a couple of these Gator picks and maybe put them together. And then you can get plus money. That's what I'm going to do.
I'm just
gonna
saying.
I'm all about that. Parlay the minuses, round robin the pluses.
As far as the puck line goes, you guys, everybody's thinking, well, they're going to pull their goalie and they're going to score a goal.
Right.
It doesn't happen that easily.
It doesn't happen every game.
Exactly. So that you're gonna. I want a winning ticket. Joe told me pick winners. If we're going to go on the puck line, I ain't picking winners.
And you're just basically picking if somebody can hit an empty netter across the
Right.
ice when they're
So
clearing it.
I want winners. I don't care if they're a minus 3,000 or if they're a plus 3,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
A winner's a winner.
Okay.
Small bets on the round robins.
Okay.
And nice bet on the parlay.
Well, we're getting started, so
Okay.
it's a great show you guys did anyway on that NHL preview.
Oh, yes. We did also our NHL preview, which is on the website. And you can check it out and hear our predictions for the entire year. So, who do you like this week?
Okay, guys, I got 3 teams this on Thursday. I have Pittsburgh beating Arizona, Toronto over Washington, and Vegas to beat Chicago. Now on Friday, I have 1 game. That's just Carolina over San Jose. Guys, remember San Jose is in a rebuilding season. Saturday, I have 4 games on Saturday. I have Boston over Arizona, Toronto over Ottawa, Islanders beating the Ducks, Minnesota's going to take care of the Kings, and then Monday I have 2 as well. The Rangers beating the Ducks and Toronto beating Arizona.
There's a lot of picks there. Maybe we can get those on the website. Maybe we can get some of those.
It's about
some of
8,
those
9,
Gator
10 picks.
Yeah, 9,
10
picks.
picks.
Right
I try
there.
to do
10
10
I'm writing
picks
down as
every
fast as I
week.
can. Gator, slow down.
We'll just take them one day at a time.
Take one day at a time.
Maybe parlay the first day, take whatever you won, parlay that the next day until you
take
get
a
to a
winner
point where
ticket.
you're happy with how much money you got and start over and cash out. So that's what I'm counting on.
Okay.
All right. So, Gator, we got to get to NASCAR. What occurred at the Roval in Charlotte, North Carolina?
Okay, well, Joe, first off, before we even get there, Wednesday, NASCAR penalized Kevin Harvick and Stuart Haas Racing 100 points each. They also fined crew chief Rodney Childress $100,000 and suspended him for the next 4 races. Now, the penalty was for a modification of a single source supply part.
So he's gone for the rest of the year.
Yeah, because there's only 4 races
Only 4
left.
races
That's
left.
correct. Now, first, the first real caution with 5 laps to go came out, and they restarted on 3 laps, and this is where it got crazy, Joe, in this race. AJ Allmendinger passed Chase Elliott for the lead. Then Kevin Harvick passed AJ and actually took him off the track to take the lead. But then right after that, Elliott pushed Tyler Reddick off the track, and cars started spinning all over the place because of that. So then we had one more restart because of all that, and we had Christopher Bell passing Harvick to win. Joe, he was 15-1 on race day, and I have no clue what he was before that.
18-1 when the sheet came out.
Oh,
And he
wow.
actually,
That was a good one.
Actually, he was 20-1 the week before, and he pushed the winner. Chase Elliott, he pushed him across, and he actually had a chance to win that.
That's correct, yes. So, yeah, Joe.
The big story also at the end of that, Kyle Larson, the defending champion, he's done.
Yes.
He just got eliminated.
Yes,
We're
he
down
did.
to 8 drivers, and the defending champ, not one of them.
Right, let me
Big
go through.
upset.
We have Elliott, Logano, Chastain, Bell, Blaney, Byron, Hamlin, and Briscoe.
All with a shot.
All with the shot that's left. And now we're heading into Vegas now, Joe, and we love this track. I love this track because this is where the books usually put out a bunch of props that you
All
usually
kinds
see
of props.
for Daytona.
Normally we
500.
have our manufacturer, who's going to win the race,
Mm-hmm.
matchups, but a ton of props also for this week.
This is a great race. The Toyotas, wow, they do really good here. They did really good last week too. But I'm not going to go with them, Joe. I'm going to go with the Chevys with Chase Elliott.
Chase Elliott.
But you got to look at those Toyotas. Don't think I'm overlooking them because I'm not.
Okay. Chase Elliott is your pick. It's so tough to pick a winner in a race, but on the matchups, you only have to beat one driver.
Exactly.
So
You're so right.
That might be the way to start on that. So what finally transpired in Formula One, our last subject?
Okay. Well, the weather was a lot like Singapore, just plain wet, Joe. But Max Verstappen did get his second straight championship win with 4 races left. But Michael Schumacher in 2001, 2004, and Sebastian Vettel in 2011. They both won with 4 races
Four
left.
races left. Yeah.
And now that was his 12th win of the year.
Amazing.
But Schumacher and Vettel both in those years won 13. So he only needs one more race to tie them guys.
He's going to do it.
Now,
For sure.
we did have a scary moment, you guys. In this race, Pierre Gasly, he's the AlphaTauri car. he was 2 meters away from losing his life.
Oh, really?
He made an unscheduled pit stop because it was under yellow, and he was going 200 kilometers an hour when he was trying to get back up into the cars, and he came 2 meters away from hitting a crane.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was That was scary. You should have heard him on the radio. You could tell that.
How do you not see a crane?
Oh, it was raining.
Oh, okay.
It was raining, and he said that he couldn't hit his brakes because it was so wet that if he did hit his brakes, he would have smashed into it.
Oh, wow. Crazy.
So, yeah.
Well, good for him. And I guess the next race isn't this week, is it?
No, but they are
gotta
going to
come-
be in Austin, Texas, Joe. They're coming back to America.
So we'll preview that next week.
Right, it's going to be October 23rd. Now, there are 3 races left after that. There's 4 races, but we got Mexico, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi.
Okay. Now it's time for our special guest, Keno Mike Charlo. First time on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome, and I've just recently been listening to a lot of Covering the Field, and you guys are good.
Well, thanks.
You guys are definitely on your game.
Well, you listen to the show. Any thoughts?
Actually do.
Any agreements? Any disagreements? Any
I mean, there's always going to be a disagreement here and there, but
any picks you want to throw out? Anything you want to share with the
I got
listeners?
some picks. I mean, I hope these listeners, I hope they send hate mail if they don't like my picks. I welcome it, but I stand by my picks, and they're all straights for this week.
All right.
I'm going Rams in the spread. I don't care what anyone says. I think they do it.
You're on with Big Rich on that one.
Yeah.
You're going to lay the 10.5. Okay.
All day. I'd probably lay more.
All right.
I mean,
Yeah, they got to
would-
win. They got to win.
Win, but not by 10.5.
And I would probably on that game take the under.
I think Rams are all about the under. That's what
Yeah.
also leans me towards taking the points. How are they?
Yep.
They have to score 11 or 14 first before they can cover that spread.
Yeah, I like Cincy -2. I like the over 43.5. I see no problem with that.
At New Orleans,
Yeah, New Orleans. Yeah.
it's a big game for Cincinnati coming off that loss.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's
they can't go 2-4. I'm kind of with you on that.
the joke game. I think is just a joke. Is the Jets at Green Bay? I mean, I don't even. I know they do play them tight normally, but I still see that one going under 45.5.
Okay. So you're going under on the Jets game.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of unders, even though there was a lot of unders. There's been a lot of unders.
That's the way you got to go.
Yeah.
So you're in
I
agreement
love
with
my overs, but
Everybody
unders
does.
are.
Do you want to win money, or do you want to go with what you want to happen?
Unders they're tough. I mean, I like everybody scoring like everybody else, but
Got to make money.
hockey. I'm. Let's see.
What do you got? You got some picks for hockey this week?
My picks are, I think, like Gator said, Pittsburgh definitely is going to kill Arizona, I'm sure. I like the under 6.5 on that. Florida at New York, I like the over. Florida,
You're
they're-
doing totals too.
Oh, yeah. These are totals, too.
Okay.
Caps at Maple Leafs, I'm liking the under 6.5. These are all for Thursday. I should have mentioned that. These are,
Yes. Thursday.
These are Thursday's games. So, and if somebody's wondering what the hell I'm talking about.
Yes.
And then Chicago at Vegas, I'm liking the under 6.5 on that.
Chicago didn't do anything in the offseason to really build their team.
Well, it's good we have spreads a day ahead of time
Yeah.
in hockey. That's big, and I'm glad the books are doing that lately.
I'm looking at the Pacific. I don't know. I'm looking at Vegas, Calgary, maybe Kings fighting for that division.
I think we got Calgary and Edmonton over here. with the
Yeah,
Gator.
yeah, I have Calgary
Of
and
course,
Edmonton.
Edmonton's great, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. You're giving Vegas and Kings a little more credit. than some other
Vegas
people.
over the Kings, definitely. But I mean, they had a great game last night. That was excellent.
It was back and forth. I mean,
That was an excellent game.
not back and forth as far as because Vegas only scored the first goal and never led, but they did tie it. you know.
Well, I needed that over, so I was like, when I saw Tampa Bay went up 3-2, I was like, because I knew I had to at least get the push. So I mean, but when Kings tied it up, I'm like, nice, 3-3. This is going over.
So if you do the shootout, you know, does the under over count for every shot that you make, or only if you win? So if you had 3-3 and it went to a shootout.
4-3 final.
No, at 3-3, you're going no matter what.
So even though you make 3 goals on the
it's just a 4-3
shootout,
final.
it's a 4-3 final. If you win, you just get 1 point. Okay,
that's right.
And I hate the puck line too. Whoever said that, yeah, puck line. I don't know.
It's a trap.
That's
what I say.
If I do puck line, I only do the minus. I don't never take the plus. There's no money in it. Sometimes depends.
It's always good for an in play every now and then. You'll
that
do
would
it.
be
If I do
the
an in play.
parlay, all the plus 1.5, so that you like minus
my
250.
hose of the week, by the way, was the Commanders. They lost me all that money. So
can we talk about the hose thing? Yes, their segment where we thought we had winners. We were so sure we had winners in our pockets, but something went horribly wrong at the end.
Oh yeah,
and we ended up losing our tickets. It's a segment we call "You Got Hosed."
You got hosed.
So,
not something I like.
Keno Mike, tell us your "You Got Hosed" story.
I had a 6-teamer, hit everything, and all I needed was Commanders to. I had them +1. I think there was barely
Against Tennessee.
30 seconds left in the game. They had a touchdown right there and an interception. It was pathetic.
Carson Wentz strikes again.
Well, here's my thing. Carson Wentz, he sucks.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. I mean, after that play, I don't know how you can say it any other way.
I don't like the Commanders. It was a bet. You know, sports is about. I will bet against my Dodgers, and I love them. They are my heart. But I will bet against them if I can make money.
Well,
All
that
day
game
long.
worked out in my favor. Tennessee actually covered, so I was against you on that one. May I rub that in?
Sure.
So, Gator, thank you. I appreciate that. Gator, do you have a "You Got Hosed" moment from last week?
Right, Joe, and I'm doing this story so I can get my 2 cents in here. Repping the passer penalty.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, you can't blame the refs as much as you guys are doing. They're only doing their job. They're doing what they were told to be doing. Brady's and Carr's wasn't as bad as Tua's was, and Tua's didn't even get
Teddy
a play.
Bridgewater.
Right. So what I propose is you have to do instant replay. I know there's a lot of pushback against that. I heard that all day yesterday. But you can tell that if somebody's intending on hurting the quarterback or if somebody is actually making a tackle, you can see it on instant replay. And I know when these referees are watching it, it does look worse than what it is on the it does. And I blame. So what I'm trying to say is that don't blame them so much. They're trying to do their best. I do not like that the NFL is going to be talking about it this week and not implementing anything. They have done that implementing all the time. So why can't we do it this time? But anyways, I'm trying to rush here. But if you are a fan of the NFL, if you are a defensive player for the NFL, and I don't care what team you are, Broncos, Raiders, I don't care if you're Dallas, San Francisco, we are all getting hosed.
Yep.
I'm okay with the instant replay on that. That's cool.
Big Richard, do you have a "You Got Hosed"
Well,
story?
on my fantasy team, I had Derek Carr, going playing in the last play. I had the game won, but he only needed 6 points. And what does he throw? I had the 7-point lead, and I got double hosed because he beat me in fantasy. Spindra beat me in fantasy on that last play, and then Devontae Adams, pushes the guy down. I felt that someone should have pushed him down because why would you not guard Devontae Adams? Because he's the only player that could have caught that ball. So
that
was my
that
other.
one.
Yeah, I got ruined on that. If he would have caught that field goal, they have the best kicker around. I was pissed. Still am.
Joe, you got a "You Got Hosed" story for us?
Well, we kind of touched on it. I mean, if you're a Seattle fan or you're Seattle better, you're up by 2, bottom of the 9th inning, and here come the Astros. 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th, and you're getting a plus 195? Oh my God. 2 men on. What was the Astros record?
They're done.
What was the Astros record?
they had over 100 wins.
Yeah, I don't know.
Down by 2
Yeah.
in the 9th inning of playoff games. 0-48.
No way.
There is no way they could possibly lose this game, right?
48.
Like in Seattle, but now it's 1-48. Jordan Alvarez hits the 3-run home run, 2 outs, bottom of the ninth. Anybody who likes Seattle, bet on Seattle. They definitely got hosed.
Everybody hates the Astros, so that's just the way it is.
The whole country got hosed.
Was there someone out there banging on a drum out there and when he was going to throw a fastball?
Unless you live in Houston,
Right.
I'm sure you like.
You got hosed.
Well, that was it for the show. Man, it felt great. It was a good show. Thank you, Keno
welcome,
Mike,
man.
for being on the show. Of course, we have Gator Gates and Big Richard Martin. We thank you, and producer Cornelius, of course. And we thank you all for listening, and we look forward to bringing you another episode next week of Covering the Field.
You've been listening to Covering the Field. Email us at coveringthefield@gmail.com for all your comments or questions. Find us on Twitter @CoveringField. And of course,